Hello YouTube, this is going to be a tutorial on how to make a pretty basic video game from a starter standpoint. I'm going to try to explain everything from start to finish, getting the software, making the code, making the game objects, and we'll start off with that. It's going to be a pretty basic game. It's going to be a 3D game. We're going to make it for the PC, and it's going to be a simple guy side scroller where you have to jump over boxes to pretty much move through the level. So let's get started. We're going to be using a program called Unity 3D. You can get it at unity3d.com. My internet loads ever. Alright, here we go. So on Unity's website, currently it's 3.5. You can go down and you can just hit the download tab over here and just click download Unity 3.5. Download it, install it, and then let's open it up. I'm running a dual monitor, so it is currently opening on my other monitor. And here we go. So then we're going to go File, Open, New Project. If this is your first game, it's going to come up with this screen right away, so it won't even open up to the main screen. So let's just hit the browse button to find a new location. Let's go to a suitable spot to make the game. I'll put it in the starter game. And then we're just going to select all the assets. You can always remove them later, and actually I'm going to remove them all. The only one we really are going to need in this one is do character controller, in case we need it, and scripts. Scripts is the main one we're going to want. And then just go ahead and hit the create button. I'm going to pause it while it imports all the assets. Alright, here we go. It only took about 10 seconds. So basically Unity 3D is a game engine that you can create you throw game objects into the scene. You code them with components such as meshes, gliders, coding, scripts, audio, physics, effects, and stuff like that. And then you pretty much tell them what to do during the basics of the game. So default scene just comes with the main camera, and this is the hierarchy. The hierarchy has everything that is in the scene. The project is everything that is in your project. So all your scripts, all your game objects are going to be in here, and then whatever is in the scene will be in the hierarchy. This is not the default layout. You can change the default the layouts by up here. I'm on 2x3 right now. And also, as you can see down here, I have inspector and console. Console is an error debugging window, so you can just hit that, hit window, and then click console, and then it'll pop up, I believe, like this. And what you can do is just drag it, drop in here, and then off we go. Over here we have scene view and game view. So the scene view is what is in the scene, and then the game is what the camera is seeing during the game. And then these are just simple play pause buttons, so we can right now we're playing the game. We are in the game menu, but since there's nothing there, it's just a blue screen. So let's unhit play. So let's go ahead and add some stuff in here. So we're going to go to game object, create other, and we'll just throw a cube in there. Go to our inspector over here, which is all the properties and the components of a certain game object. And we'll just zero it out. Next, we'll go down, and since we're going to make this our floor, we're going to scale it along the X and also along the Z, 10 by 10. Actually, you know, since it's going to be a side scroller, we'll do X5, Z, we'll do 50 for right now. Not that big of a deal. Let's resituate our camera right here. Move it over here. Let's rotate it along the y-axis, -90 degrees. Bring it over. And you can see the camera preview down here. So if you move it, it will update it. If you, there you go. And now let's, as you can see, it's pretty dark in there, so let's add some light by going game object, create other, directional light, and we can just drag that to the side. We don't really need to worry about that. So here we have a basic scene. As you can see, we have our objects that are in the scene. We have a direction light, a main camera, and the cube, which is going to be the floor, which we'll just go ahead and rename floor. Alright, so now if you just play the game, as you can see, now we have this block that will be our floor, and that is pretty much all we're seeing in the directional light. So let's go ahead and unplay that. Now let's go add a player, and the player we're going to use, we're just going to do add capsule. It's a pretty basic player, and he'll be our stand-in for right now. So let's just zero him out. Move him over here and then move him up so he is resting on the surface, which is, I believe, 1.5 is right on the surface. So there we go. Let's rename this guy to player. And as you can see over in the inspector, we have some properties and components. We have a mesh render, a capsule collider, and a capsule mesh filter. I'll go in more depth in other tutorials and whatnot, so I'll just hit the subscribe button, stay tuned, and I'll have more coming out. For now, we'll just leave everything as default, but we're going to add another component. We're going to add a component that's a physics, and it's going to be a rigid body. This is allowing it to have gravity affected, objects to push it around, so forth, such like that. So we got that. We're going to open this constraints tab, and we're just going to constrain its X position and its rotation on the everything. Oh, no. Rotation just on the X and Z. We don't want this thing rotating around. Shouldn't be a very big deal, but we'll just lock them all out. We'll just lock everything out for the rotation for right now. We can go up and hit save scene in case it crashes. We'll just save this as test scene. And as you can see, it pops up in our project folder over there. So now let's add some scripts. So to this main camera, we are going to add a script that came along with the standard assets by just going to component, camera control, smooth follow. So here there's a script just came up on the components and the inspector. And as you can see, target, our target's going to be the player. So just drag that in. And then we don't want it to rotate, so just hit that to 0. And then we're going to go ahead and hit the play button. And you can see it's going to track this object. So if I take the player and I move him around, you can see the camera moves with him, which is good. We won't worry too much about the angle that you're looking, but as you can see, if you go to main camera and you can change the height, it'll change the height and the distance of what you're looking at the player. So one thing to note is if you're in play mode and you change these things, they will not save. So right now I'm at 12 and 1.5, so if I unplay this, they're going to go back to what they were. So just be cautious of that. So if you're going to make major changes or something like that, it's not going to change when you unplay it. That is nice because when it is played, you can screw around, change variables, screw with your game and kind of test it out and debug it and play around with it while you do that. So now we have a camera following the player. Now let's get this player to move. So let's just create a basic JavaScript. So go over in project, create JavaScript. You can also do it in, no, you can't also do it up there. And we'll just go this and we'll do player control. How about? Pretty simple. Double click it, open it up. I use Unisite. You don't have to use Unisite. I believe the default is called Mono Development. You can go to Edit Preferences. A window like this will pop up. And External Tools, External Script Editor right here. You should be able to switch between both. Or you can browse into the Unity file in your program files and you should be able to find a Unisite program executable. Alright. So let's go ahead and go back to Unisite. And this is going to be the default layout for a JavaScript. It's going to have a start function, which will run on the first frame that the game object is in the game. Update runs every single frame. So this is what we're going to want to do. We're going to want to go to update. We're going to type in transform, which is calling the transform component of this object, which is, if I select player, is this one, transform. And we're going to do position, transform position. And we're going to change its Z component. In every single frame, we're going to want it to go a move speed, which is going to be a variable, times time dot delta time times 60. The reason why we do this time dot delta time times 60 is because all computers don't run at the same frame rate, so this kind of smooths it out and it makes it uniform across all computers, and if it's lagging, it won't look like it's lagging on the screen. It will make it look a lot better. So we have this move speed variable that we're going to have to declare by just going up to the top of the script, hitting var move speed equals 0.1 and then semicolon. Notice you have to have a semicolon at the end of every single line, otherwise the coder will not be able to read it. Alright, so we got this, and we'll go back into our Unity, click the player, and down here just drag the player control script into the inspector, and then it pops up. As you can notice, our speed variable is right here, and you can actually change this in the editor, and you can change it however you want. So for certain objects, you could change certain variables that are different than an object that is also using the same script, and so on. So now if we play this, you can see that our player is moving. You can't really see it in the game, but in our scene view you can see he's moving across the screen, and now he's falling because gravity is affecting on him. So that's pretty cool. So that's we got some movement going on here. Now we're gonna want this guy to jump. How we're gonna do that is in the update. We'll do a simple code, which is if, undercase if, input dot get button up, and say jump. We want you to rigid body dot velocity equals vector 3. It is case sensitive, so vector 3 0 comma jump speed 0. Alright, so now if get button jump activates, it's going to make a velocity of a certain variable that is jump speed upwards. So we'll declare jump up here, and I'm not exactly sure what value we're going to want to do, so I'll just throw a 2 in there for a place setter. Default jump input is already declared, so you can go to the edit tab and go to project settings to input, open these axes up, and these are all inputs that you can call in the script. As you can see, jump is already created, and the button that is defined for this jump is space. So we can just use that for our basic jump. And if we go ahead and play this, and if we click spacebar, our guy jumps. Not very much, but he does. So we can just go in here and we can go to our script, put it up to say 7, and now he's jumping much higher. Alright, much better. So next, what we're going to be doing, my computer is lagging a little more because I'm running the recorder and this Unity program at the exact same time. I don't have a grade A computer. This is a pretty basic program that will works on pretty much any computer. So now what we're going to need to do is, if you play it, as you can see, if you've followed with me, you can hit jump a bunch of times and your guy pretty much flies. And we don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a simple script called onCollision. Alright, someone intruded me. Sorry about that. Alright, we're going to add a simple function that's going to be called function onCollision enter. Oops. Supposed to be capital. onCollision enter. And then we're going to declare a variable called the collision and there we have a simple function. So if a collision is entered, if something collides with our player, it's going to call up this function, and multiple things are going to be colliding with our guy. So we're going to want to change this a little bit, and we're going to add an if statement. And if the collision dot game object dot name equals floor, so if we collide with the floor, with a game object that's called floor, which that's what ours is called, it's going to make a variable called hitting equals true. So up here we can declare the variable hitting, and we're just going to make it default true. Alright, so there we go. So now when you jump, we're going to make hitting equals false. So when we jump, hitting is going to be false, and it's not going to let you jump. Because we're going to add an if statement saying if hitting, you can jump. If not, you can't jump. So if hitting, you can jump, and then it's going to turn hitting to false, and it's going to make you jump. Next time it runs through, and next time it collides with the floor, it's going to make hitting true again, so we'll be able to hit the jump button again. So if we go ahead and run this, we're colliding with the floor so we can jump, and it is really lagging. But as you can see, we can't double jump anymore. I'm hitting the space button a bunch, and it's not letting me jump. So that's working much better, and I assure you, if you run this on your computer, it's not going to lag like this. This is ridiculous just because I have so much things going on my computer. Alright, so now we have it jumping. So next we're going to want him to jump over things. So let's make some obstacles by going and creating some cubes in here, and we can just zero these things out. Move it up, and we'll plop a couple of them in here. This video is coming to a close. Part 2 is going to be there's going to be a link below, and it'll probably be on the screen too, so hit the subscribe button, stay tuned for more, and as always, have a nice day. And we'll just go ahead and test this out. How unfortunate, my recorder ran out of time. So we'll go ahead and test this, and then I will say goodbye. So make sure you subscribe, like, and this is part 1. We're going to do part 2, and we'll add some more game basics, so it kind of makes it more random, and the game goes on longer, and we'll make it so you can die and end the game pretty much and restart. So this is a pretty basic game. This is how you make a video game, part 1.